Endurance is the persisting act of resistance. It's continued movement regardless of circumstance. Endurance is also our experience of our own movement in the inertia we create and the inertia we maintain. Embodiment is the process of the body that we build through our life's work. It's also our experience of our body, and it's all-encompassing: physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. And in a sense, embodiment is a form of endurance. That is, the body you have today is not the body you had 10 years ago, nor is it the body that you'll have 10 years from now. And as we've seen from our speakers, the body of a runner is not the body of a ski mountaineer, or the body of a rower, or the body of a mother is not the body of a father. My interest in exploring endurance and embodiment began in 2006, after I was run over as a pedestrian in a crosswalk in Calgary. Unlike Merrick, I didn't lose my leg, but also my lower left leg had to be reconstructed with a titanium rod. And I began my study after these reconstructive surgeries and excruciatingly long and painful rehabilitation. My first project documented the transformation of my own body as I moved from one extreme of mobility to another. I documented what changed as I traveled from being unable to move under my own power to attempting to prepare and compete in an ultramarathon, an extreme long-distance foot race. I hadn't raced longer than 10 kilometers before in my life, nor had I ever done any trail running before, so this was entirely exploratory research and a bit of a trial by fire. My mind and body changed, as you can imagine, and when summer rolled around 8 months later, I found I had been successful in creating a body that was capable of completing the 125-kilometer ultramarathon at the project's end. That project ended, but my body endured. My curiosity flourished, and so I decided to continue research. I went from this study of rehabilitation and recovery to looking at ultrarunning embodiment in particular. That is, the body that ultrarunners create through their life on the trail. I went from a study of 1 to a study of 1,000, and I found that ultrarunners are really weird people. Extremely weird, but so fascinating. They have a really intimate and peculiar relationship with pain and suffering. For the most part, they don't have 10 toenails at any one time. They're near obsessed with watches that are more powerful than some computers, and in my opinion, they eat an obscene amount of gel. My work of the past 2 years and in the near future is the study of ultrarunning community on a global scale. I'm collecting stories and sharing those stories of connection, support, and adventure of trail runners and ultrarunners worldwide. And through all of my projects, I realized that I too am embodying ultrarunning. I've sculpted an ultra body. My mind processes time and space in a distinct way. My muscles, ligaments, and tendons have been adapted to the rigors of extreme distance, and my peer group is filled with similarly odd characters. I'm also increasingly inspired to look for what happens at the bounds of true possibility. And so I'll share my favorite experience of coming face to face with my embodiment. It occurred this past Halloween, that's me, in the Pyrenees Mountains of the small European nation of Andorra. I was one of 50 athletes invited to toe the line at the first edition of the ELS 2900 Alpine Run. It's a 70-kilometer ultra that climbs nearly 7,000 meters and summits the 7 highest peaks of Andorra by way of the most technically demanding and exposed ridges. It's a bit technical in parts. Each athlete was selected through a rigorous application and review process. Past results, demonstration of skill, and Highland experience counted for much of the selection criteria naturally. However, the most defining component of inclusion was not these successes, but rather one's ethos for connection with the mountains. In selecting participants, Matthew and Carlos, the directors, made an immense effort in cultivating community, or in other words, finding and seeking out this form of embodiment. I knew that I'd be among equals in ability, experience, and passion, and yet I was stunned and surprised, maybe more than I should have been, by what I saw when we arrived in Andorra. I saw the same bodies. I saw many other me. We were reflections of one another, though we had traveled from different lands and spoke different languages. Our lean frames were filled out by marbled thighs, broad backs, strong arms, and striated shoulders. Even our faces mirrored one another. Many of the fellows had beards and woolly hair like me. We looked like brothers and sisters. And however, the oddest part was in this recognition, knowing that we hadn't been brought together because we looked alike or shared the same body, or even that we moved alike, but rather we were brought together because we also shared the same mind. We spent the entire weekend together, hiking from town to the start, sharing dinner and sleep at the start line refugio, traversing the 70 kilometers, and a celebratory breakfast and hike back to town the next morning. We were one group pursuing a common objective with a shared outlook, using our bodies in the same way. Els 2900 stoked my passion for the sport, for exploration, and for moving in the mountains further. I made new friends, and they were odd sort of friends to make. That is, friends connected not solely through shared interests and pursuits, but also in embodiment. We shared the same mindful body. And exploring the Pyrenees, I furthered my experiment to my own self. I realized, in the most visceral and intimate and profound way I've experienced yet, that I had finally embodied this extreme mobility I was looking for. So I'd like to extend and offer a challenge to you in the audience and those watching to reflect on your own body and pursuits. Consider how your body has come to be the way it is today, or maybe in the past, and look ahead to where your practice now may lead you. As I've done in my studies of ultrarunning and embodiment, I challenge you to fully enjoy exploring your body and look for these same sorts of warm reflections and points of connection you find in the world through your practice. And I'll finish with some thanks to FEAT Canada for bringing me out here, to the North Face, Smartwool, Jelbo, Cliff Bar, and Exact Nutrition for their continued support of my pursuits, to Matthew Lafore and Carlos Russell for directing and inviting me to Els 2900, and to Fabio Menino and Jordi Saragossa for the beautiful photographs from Els 2900. Thank you, everyone.